All right, guys, when it comes to large surface areas that are being foiled, runs into some different issues. So some people might get dots or marks when they're going to really large areas. What are some of the tips that you have on overcoming some of those issues? Ken, we'll start with you.
Yeah, just the nature of the embellishment process and using inkjet technology can often introduce a small bubble, a little bit of air and imperfection just from the environment in your shop. And you can see it, especially if you're going to put smooth, shiny foils over the top of it. So there's a couple of things that you can do to try and prevent this. Obviously, running your purges every morning and making sure that system is clean of air is a big help. The other things you can do are increase heat to get that varnish to flow a little bit better. You can actually control the heads, although most manufacturers probably don't want you to do that. But you can also increase the drying heat so that it'll flow a bit before it gets set. And you can slow the printing speed down. If anything you can do to allow that varnish to flow and possibly fill the void, it can help a great deal. Other things you can do is add busy foils, right? A holographic or a cracked ice can often hide any of those imperfections. Most people won't see them, only the trained eye will. So these are a few things that you can do, but it is part of the deal, and you have to learn to deal with it, unfortunately.
Yep, yep. How about you?
We tend to see that issue uh, on more of an uncoated stock, not an uncoated, but I mean like unprepared. If it comes straight off the printer and there's no lamination, there's no aqueous coating or anything of the sort, that's when we tend to get those issues. And it only seems to happen with larger areas. If there's like thick lettering or uh, large areas in the graphic or just big solids, it's going to show up once in a while, and usually right around where the heads stitched together is usually one of those issues. If I'm going to have heavy coverage, I'm going to adjust that head stitch to overlap a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more. Otherwise, I start to get a streak between where the heads stitch together. As Ken said, slow down the speed. I'll take that print speed lever and drop it down and just slow the machine down. This is a problem for fine detail items, though, but we're talking about large, heavy coverage. So if you're putting a blob of varnish somewhere, just go ahead and slow that machine way the heck down. That print belt, the slower you can get it, the more time you can give it before it hits the lamps to set it up, better off you are. You may need to choke it down a little bit by using a negative expand in your file setup for the onboard for the MGI, which I use a lot. You know, I'm always choking it back in order to not go beyond the boundaries if I'm allowing it to spread more. Sometimes we just change the stock. We'll run a test, getting a lot of streaks and pits on this, change the stock. Might not happen on the next set.
Excellent. That's wonderful information you guys are giving everybody here. Last little question before we go, and Matt, we'll start off with you. When you are done and your product is finished, are there any specific ways that you have to pack the product if you're shipping it across the country, or is it just like regular print for you?
I usually stand over the person packing the job and tell them exactly how to pack the box because I know where the foil and varnish comes to meet the fold. I know where if things do this in the box, it's going to create damage on the varnish that's on top of the foil. It will start to peel off near the edge. There's a lot of little things you have to take into consideration. I'm like, wrap each bundle in 25 rubber bands and put paper around it so that they're separated from all the other.
Yeah, I know. I've received a lot of boxes from you, Matt. I know how you pack it. That's why I'm asking the question.
It's crazy, but you have to be very careful, and obviously you have to make sure that it's very dry. It's not heat. It's not air dry. It's just time that it takes for that varnish to cure completely. So if it can sit around for an extra day or two, let it.
How about you, Ken?
Reiterate all the things that Matt just mentioned. We would only use 4-inch boxes. We would paper band in order to keep them from shifting. We would start in the very early in the process and asking a customer what their timeline was on a project, because this is a specialty product. It is not typical commodity print. You're not pushing it out the door immediately. If you're going to take the time and expense to create a masterpiece, to rush it in shipping just does not make any sense. So small lifts, keep them secure in the box. Be mindful of heat, right? If you know tomorrow it's going to be 100 today, but it's going to be 75 tomorrow, maybe don't put it on your truck until tomorrow, and make sure you bring it right into the customer's office so that it stays at room temperature, because it is a liquid. It could get super hot. It could get superheated in a 160-degree truck or a very hot warehouse. You need to handle it with care. And honestly, the faster that you get the product out, the better, because the more it sits around, the more danger could possibly come and damage the product.
All right. Well, Ken and Matt, I wanted to thank you very much for your time today. I wanted to thank you very much for sharing all this experience, and I know you have millions and millions and millions of more stories to tell like this, and hopefully we'll be able to uncover more of these together. But gentlemen, I wanted to thank you very much, and we will see you very soon.